Okay, we are back. I've been after this guy for the longest time because I love what he does. This guy, I mean, when you think of Carillon Park, you have to ask yourself, who are the brilliant people that puts all this together? And I called and I said, who's the brilliant person? My boss told me to tell you it's Brady Kress. Who's your boss? Brady Kress. No, that's not true. So this guy's going to have a lot to talk about first time on the show. Make welcome Brady Kress, everybody. Hey, ho.
Hello,
hello. How you doing, Brady?
Hey, Rob.
Nice to have you.
How are you?
So,
Thanks for having me on.
how you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
That was not a true story, what I just said. Who's a brilliant man that keeps all this stuff going on at the park. I told you I was there recently and had dinner there.
Yes.
And or late afternoon, early dinner, I guess you'd say, but we walked around the fence because I wanted to see what I remembered and what I didn't remember. It had been a while since I'd been there. It has grown and grown and grown, continues to grow. And all those exhibits of the trains and the cars and the Wright brothers and all that canal thing. A lot of people don't even know how a canal works. Well, you go to Carillon Park, you'll know.
That's right.
So you didn't. How did you start out? And are you doing exactly what you want to do? Was there something you had planned on doing? But boy, when I got involved in this thing, I knew it was going to change. Is this what you always wanted to do? Would you, study being an attorney or whatever? Brady?
An attorney and a senator. Yeah.
Oh yeah. President. Okay.
President. Right. No, grew up. Had a grandmother off of Xenia Avenue and another grandmother off of Philadelphia, and grew up listening to stories of the flood and the war and all of Dayton's great heritage. And Granddad worked at Frigidaire and Dad was at NCR, and so I've always had a love for it. Mom dropped me off at Carillon Park when I was 15 and wandered around and fell in love with it. And went through, asked if they were hiring, got hired. I worked there for 5 seasons, and then went on to other things, private industry, and worked on Capitol Hill for a while for a congressman, and came back and said, I really want to get involved in museum work. So started working for Historic Landmarks Foundation over in Indiana, and stayed in close touch with the folks at Carillon. And when my predecessor, who was only the second director of the park, was retiring, I threw my hat in the ring and voila.
Well, as you walk through, it's hard to pick. I can't say what my favorite is. They're all my favorite. It's amazing.
It's a tremendous tapestry of amazing Dayton stories. The reason it's so incredible is because Dayton's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
We have this. We have done more to change the world than most cities, and it starts at the beginning of the 20th century with us having producing more patents per capita than any other city in the country. We were at the top of that list for decades, and it goes from industry to top secret projects during World War II, World War I prior to that. We're coming up on the centennial of the beginning of World War I. We were the producer of more airplanes than any other city in the country for World War I. People don't realize that. The Dayton Wright Airplane Company, that was under the direction of Edward Deeds, who went on to serve as head of the Conservancy District that built all of our dams and levees, doing that at the same time, actually, and went on to be the 3rd CEO at NCR and founded Carillon Park.
And the bells, I mean, it's tremendous. And I wonder how many people, Wright Patterson, if they even associate the Wright brothers because they've heard it all their life because we live here.
Sure.
And right, I mean, with Carillon, we've got beautiful theaters. We got the museum that's increasing every day. There's so many beautiful things and great things about Dayton. Our great man, Charles F. Kettering, the Wright brothers. And you go to the cemetery, it's another education. Well, I know where that street is. That guy? I mean, it's an education.
That's right.
Dayton, people don't realize how fortunate they are to live in Dayton. There's always something exciting to do. And at the top of the list is a visit to Caroline Park.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, it is just incredible. Anything new coming up that you want to talk about?
We have quite a bit coming up. You know, when I came back about 12 years ago, our main goal was to see if we could create a new organization. So I came back as executive director of Caroline Park with the idea of creating an umbrella organization with the Montgomery County Historical Society and the Kettering Moraine Museum. See if we could come together and do some kind of partnership to increase the efficiencies and effectiveness of programs and the stories we were telling, consolidate some of the artifacts that we all had. And so the creation, after about 18 months, was the creation of Dayton History. And so Dayton History is this family of museums, and this August, well, next week will be the 10-year anniversary of creating Dayton History. So within that is, a lot of people don't understand that Caroline Park is one of our entities. It's the largest, privately funded. It's a private nonprofit. We don't receive any tax funding at all to operate Caroline. But then within Dayton History, we also own and operate Hawthorne Hill, Orville Wright's Success Mansion. We own and operate the Patterson Homestead, John Patterson's birthplace, and home to 3 generations of the Patterson family. Operate with the state of Ohio, the Paul Lawrence Dunbar State Memorial. We operate with the help of Montgomery County, 2 of their beautiful properties, Memorial Hall.
Had Bootsy on quite a few times.
And I'm sorry?
Had Bootsy on quite a few times.
Yes, yes. So you understand the importance of these sites. But the Memorial Hall and the old courthouse that are so well taken care of by Montgomery County. We help them in managing the preservation of those buildings, and so it's an ongoing effort. We just took on the daily operations of the Learning Center for the Aviation Hall of Fame, National Aviation Hall of Fame, out at the base. So we continue to grow and take on more of these important stories that help share and protect our legacy. And share those things with the world. We have many people that make the park and the whole organization run the way it does. And our newest, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of our Caroline Brewing Company, which is a new venture for us, showcasing the mid-century production and history of ales and wines and breads. For the public. So
now, when I was there, it was the middle of the week, and it was crowded out because you can eat outside the restaurant or in the restaurant, and it was crowded as middle of the week.
It's doing well. It's been very well received by the community, and we've continued to win awards within the museum community for this project. We just won a Midwest Museum Association award for that project. It is we're the first museum in the country to produce a working exhibit producing ales and a product like that. So we have blended this educational program. We have everybody in costume, and we're there producing, using the period tools and techniques to produce ales, along with this functioning brewery. I mean, we're actually producing. We have a license to produce and sell, and with a restaurant to go along with it, and everything in the restaurant's themed to what life was like in the Miami Valley in 1850.
Well, I'll tell you, as far as that Dayton flood, my mother was a wise woman, and she made sure that I always had long, extra long boots. So I didn't have any of my shoes ruined during that time, so I was kind of prepared. You didn't know I was that old?
You look tremendously well.
Well, you're just saying that because it's true, Brady.
Yeah, well.
And so, you know, when I think of going to Caroline Park, because I love the country. Have you ever gone out 70 and right before you turn off to go to Brookville, there's a big brown farmhouse right on the side of the road? I grew up in that house, sort of. It was my dad's brother's farm, and that's where I learned to appreciate animals and being out in the country, because it was country then. But when you go to Caroline Park, it's kind of like being country, but you're not. You're in the city, but you're out of that city mode, and you're away from it all. You're in a whole different environment. And it's a very warm, wonderful feeling. You guys are doing a great job.
Well, thanks.
And I love it. It's just like being out in the country, yet you're not. You're being educated. You see great things and have a good meal when you want to.
Yeah.
And now you know the big guy that's running the whole thing, Brady Kress, right here. Brady Kress.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yep.
We really appreciate it.
You.